Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack. This is your latest Manchester United news, and as always we've got plenty to talk about as further reports come out suggesting Manchester United are heavily linked with Branthwait of Everton, so we'll talk a little bit about that. The same report is suggesting that Manchester United are prioritising strengthening the spine of their team in the summer transfer window: centre back, centre midfield and centre forward. So we're going to talk about some potential options there as well. I want to talk a little bit about Kobbie Mainoo as well. Kobbie Mainoo, reports suggesting Manchester United are in talks with him over a new contract. However, they are in no rush to actually get a deal signed, considering the fact that he only signed a new one last year and he is tied down potentially till 2028. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And finally, we've got some updates on Donny van de Beek and a potential move away from Manchester United and the struggles that United are actually going to have to get rid of him, get him off the books in the summer. We'll talk about that as well. But before that, guys, please do smash a like on the video as always. Hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. You're all welcome. And of course, get your comments into the comment section below and we'll go through your comments as we always do. But I do want to start, guys, with the report suggesting that... Sorry, that's the wrong report. We'll get into that one in a while. Mike McGrath has been speaking. He writes for the Telegraph and he has been talking about United's summer transfer plans. And obviously this guy is leading the top stories in relation to a centre-back option for Manchester United over the last few weeks. Now, we have seen United being linked with a number of different centre-backs, to Debo. The list goes on. There's been 5 or 6 centre-backs we've been linked with. Of course, that young centre-back from Boca Juniors as well. I think he would be more get him in and loan him out instantly. But Jared Branthwait has been leading the headlines when it comes to Manchester United's pursuit of a centre-back. And Mike McGrath says that he is being looked at by Manchester United as a possible summer target in one of their priority areas to bolster for next season. While United have yet to push forward with summer plans, Branthwait is highly regarded by the club as one of the most promising homegrown prospects at centre-back. And again, I think that homegrown part is a very important part because, obviously clubs, the quotas are still there. You have to have a certain amount of homegrown players within your squad, and if you're getting a guy in like him that can come in and play at centre back straight away, it certainly lends to the I suppose what you need to do in terms of having the amount of homegrown players there. But getting away from that, a very good footballer nonetheless. And a lot of people are being a little bit harsh on him, saying that, he's with a club that's fighting for, relegation, so on and so forth. But, I mean, what a lot of people are not realising is that Everton, without the 10-point deduction, subsequently it was 6, they would be mid-table. They would be up around 12th, 13th at the moment and nowhere near a relegation battle. I think this guy is a good player. I really do. And I think he could come into Manchester United and over the next couple of seasons get some really good game time under his belt. I don't think he would come in as a first choice starter. I think he's a left footer. If Lisandro Martinez stays fit, then you would expect Lisandro Martinez to be the main left footed centre back. We know that Erik ten Hag likes to have a right footer on the right side of centre back, a left footer on the left side of centre back. So I think he would come in. He would probably be, a rotation player and play maybe 1 in 3 games. But I think for a kid his age coming to Manchester United, we've spoke in depth about Rasmus Højlund, for example, and potentially bringing in another striker. We'll get onto that in a moment. And I suppose the pressures that Rasmus Højlund has had as a 20-year-old leading the line for Manchester United. And it's not something that we want to see young players or players of that age having to do on a regular basis. And I think that's similar when it comes to Branthwait. I don't think he should be coming in to Manchester United and be expected to start every game and be a number 1 choice for a centre-back. I don't think that should be the case because you're putting too much added pressure. And I don't care what anyone says. I think that stunts the growth of 99% of players. Now, you do have that 1% that can go on and, really, thrive under that kind of pressure. But I think this is a great option for Manchester United. I really do. And I think it's one that, I hope we can go out and put some pressure on and get. The one part that I do have a little bit of a concern about when it comes to, this report is that United haven't pushed forward yet with any summer plans. Now, that is a concern, because we've seen, let's say, for example, last year with Erling Haaland with Man City. Now, we all knew that Erling Haaland was going to leave Borussia Dortmund, but Man City got the job done. I think they got the deal done in the end of March, start of April, I think, and yes, as soon as the transfer window was open, it was announced that he was signed. So I think Manchester United can be doing business behind the scenes, and that's where, the lack of a footballing director at the moment is an area of concern. The sooner we can get the likes of Dan Ashworth to come in and put his feet in under the table and really get to work, the better. Because, make no mistake, other clubs are going to be getting deals done and going to be working on deals in the background. And if Manchester United have not got a director of football in place at the moment, and that's dragging on, and we're negotiating with Newcastle over a fee to stop that gardening leave to get Dan Ashworth in straight away, it is going to hamper our plans for the summer. By all accounts, you are not allowed to even communicate with your future employer while you're on gardening leave with your previous one. So Manchester United not having that in place at the moment and not being able to get deals done behind the scenes or be working on potential deals for the summer transfer window is just allowing other teams an advantage going into the summer transfer window. We would like to see some deals get done. Like I said, with Manchester City last year, they had Erling Haaland done and dusted in April. So that is a concern for United, and I think the sooner we can get a director of football in, the better we, can go and attack this summer transfer window. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Branthwait, it's a signing that I would like to see. I really would. Young, homegrown player, high ceiling when it comes to potential, and one that we could look at potentially, moulding into a very, very good footballer. Now, we're speaking about the spine of the team, and midfield is a main area of concern when it comes to that. And again, Mike McGrath has been speaking in the same interview about Casemiro, and he said his future and whether he stays at Manchester United this summer will determine whether the club look at a centre midfielder. Now, I think this is slightly wide of the mark, to be quite honest with you, in terms of what we've been hearing and reading over the past few weeks. That, and personally, from my own standpoint, I've mentioned on a number of occasions that I want to see Manchester United going for another central midfielder, regardless of whether Casemiro stays or not. I would like to see Casemiro get another season at United as a rotation or a squad player, and we go out and sign that 21, 22-year-old CDM that's, going to come in, take the helm there at CDM, but not have to play every game, where we can rotate Casemiro in and out and let him learn off of Casemiro for 12 months on the training pitch and playing alongside him. I think that would be the ideal scenario. So I think Casemiro leaving only if we sign another midfielder is probably a little bit wide of the mark. And the reason why I say that is because reports are also suggesting that Manchester United are going to cash in on Christian Eriksen this summer as well. We spoke about this on a number of different occasions, that it probably looks like Christian Eriksen is going to leave this summer regardless. He's not happy with his game time under Erik ten Hag. Now, he's a professional. He's not, giving out. He's not going talking to the press, the media, whatever it may be. He, behind the scenes, he's saying to Erik ten Hag, I want to play more football. And I'm sure Erik ten Hag understands that. Now, we're after getting 2 seasons out of Christian Eriksen on a free transfer. And I think specifically in his first season, he was absolutely fantastic for us. He hasn't played as much this year, especially with the likes of Kobbie Mainoo coming to the forefront of, of the squad. And I think he's the number one player on the team sheet now, you would have to say. So I think Christian Eriksen will be moved on in the summer. And the fact that this report is suggesting that Saudi Arabian clubs are interested in him is positive for United. They're monitoring the situation of Christian Eriksen as the Premier League giants will allow the 32-year-old to leave this summer. The midfielder's contract expires in 2025, and instead of losing him on a free in a year, United could make some money from selling him. And look, I think that's the right way to do it. We got him on a free transfer, so any money that we get for Christian Eriksen will be complete profit. Maybe not complete profit, because you're going to give a player a signing on bonus and so on and so forth. But the fact that Saudi Arabian clubs are monitoring the situation is only a positive for United as well. We know that the FFP has been an area of concern. I don't think it will be the case in coming transfer windows, especially if we can clear some of these players out. So, the likes of Mike McGrath speaking that United are only going to sell Casemiro if we get a central midfielder in, I think is probably wide of the mark, because we're more than likely going to get rid of 2 central midfielders if that's the case. Christian Eriksen does look like he's going to move on. I would like Christian Eriksen to go and us to sign 2 central midfielders, one at CDM and one at number 8 that we can rotate with Kobbie Mainoo, because you don't want Kobbie Mainoo to have to play 50 games next season if Christian Eriksen leaves and we don't replace him. That's the concern. Like the big concern is not having depth in our squad. If we let Christian Eriksen go and we don't replace him, who do we use as a backup to Kobbie Mainoo in that number 8 role? You do not want Kobbie Mainoo to be playing 50 games next season, even though I think he can handle it and he's certainly good enough to be that player that plays week in, week out. I've no doubt about it. But you don't want a player like that at 18 years of age, picking up some injuries, untold pressure being put on him because he is the only number 8 we've got. So if we are going to let Christian Eriksen go, I want to see 2 central midfielders come in. I want to see one to replace Christian Eriksen and challenge Kobbie Mainoo for that role. And I want a CDM to come in as well that can play and challenge Casemiro for that CDM role. Or maybe even take that CDM role completely and let Casemiro be a rotation player. That's what I would like to see in midfield, in this summer transfer window. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, it's going to be a massive turnaround for United in this transfer window. Like I said before, it's a very important transfer window and one that we do need to get right because, we can potentially go out and get rid of 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially even 6 players, you would say. And that means you have to sign 6 players. We spoke about depth in our squad, and we want to have depth within our squad. Because if we don't, and we pick up a couple of injuries again next season, we're going to have the same issue that we did this season. And we know how frustrating that has been. It has to be said. Coffee. But guys, want to move it on and talk about the third area of this spine that we've been talking about. We've mentioned centre-back already. We've mentioned centre and midfield. Now, we do know as well that Manchester United are looking to strengthen the centre-forward position. And again, this is all coming from Mike McGrath. They're in the market for a striker to support Rasmus Højlund this summer. And I think that support is a very important word because we've been speaking over the past few weeks about what kind of striker Manchester United are going to go into the market and potentially try and sign. Are you going to go out and sign an established striker like an Ivan Toney, for example, or a Victor Osimhen? Or are you going to go out and get a younger striker similar to that of Rasmus Højlund, like a Benjamin Sesko, for example, or a Xerxes, that can come in and share the workload with Rasmus Højlund and play a rotation kind of game where, you play 2 out of 3 games. Both players play 2 out of 3 games. Substitutions. You'll get 60 minutes today. You'll get a substitution appearance for 30 minutes next week. Whatever it may be. Or one may come in and completely, exceed expectations and score after game after game after game. And then it's up to the other player to work hard and try and get back into the team. That's what we want to see. We want to see competition. I would much rather have 2 young strikers vying for that number 1 spot up front than having one player who you have to play all the time because you've spent, 100 million on them. That would be your Victor Osimhen's or your Ivan Toney's, for example. And I think that would be, I think we would get more benefit out of 2 younger players coming in, fighting for that position up front because, they'll have to take their chance when they do get onto the field. And I think that's important for United. And I think it will lend to the idea that we will, have really strong and solid competition for each place on the pitch. That's what we want to see. We spoke an awful lot lately as well about the left-back area, for example, and how well Luke Shaw plays and has played over the years at Manchester United. When we've signed another left-back to challenge him, all of a sudden he ups his game. Luke Shaw's the type of player that, historically we've seen that if there's no real challenge to him at left back, his form starts to dip a little bit. And it's not just him. There are areas all over the field that you can see. I think Harry Maguire is a good example of that as well. So, what I'm trying to say is that competition all around the field is vitally important. Like I said, the striking situation at the moment, if we could get another player in to challenge Rasmus Højlund, like we said, Luke Shaw always plays better when there's some competition there for the left back spot. And like I said, I think Harry Maguire falls into this category now. We've seen Harry Maguire have really, really poor seasons over the last few years. All of a sudden, he's no longer first choice when Erik ten Hag comes in. And you've got Varane and Martinez there. Now, I'm not saying Harry Maguire is good enough to take the position of either of them players, because I don't think he is. But I think we have seen an uptake in his form this season because he is no longer guaranteed that starting position. And he's got to take his opportunity when he comes into the team, whether that be to secure a first team spot or whether to put himself into the shop window for a move maybe in the summer. My point being here is that competition is vital in every area. And I think that's where we need to be very smart in the next couple of transfer windows. Not only do we need to go out and sign players that are good enough to get into the starting 11, we need to sign players that are good enough to challenge to get into that starting 11 as well and get some real depth in the squad. And I think if we can do that, I think we can really make a move and start challenging for the top trophies again. And let's hope we can do that. But want to move it on, guys, and I want to talk specifically about a player that we've already got within our squad that is looking at a potential new transfer or a potential new contract, and that of course is Kobbie Mainoo. Now this is coming out from Samuel Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News. He said United are in no rush to finalise a new contract for Kobbie Mainoo due to his maximum expiry date. He signed a contract last February that was for 4 years with the option of additional year to tie him down until 2028. Manchester United have already opened discussions with Mainoo's representatives over a new deal amid his supreme club form and breakthrough at international level. Now again, this is very, very, I think it was a very, very smart move out of Manchester United to get Kobbie Mainoo tied down to a new deal last February, because I think it was, we've been very critical over the years of Manchester United and the work that they've been doing behind the scenes in terms of negotiating players and transfers and then new deals for current players. Marcus Rashford is a prime example. Marcus Rashford had 2 years left on his deal where we could have offered him 250 grand a week off the back of a very poor season a couple of years ago where he scored, I think, 5 goals. United dragged their knuckles along the ground and put it on the back burner, hoping that, well, not hoping, in the worry that Marcus Rashford's form wouldn't have an upturn and maybe cash in on him. What happens is he scores 30 goals the following season, and all of a sudden you enter negotiations with Marcus Rashford for a new contract because he's only got 1 year left, and all of a sudden he's getting 375 grand a week on the back of a very good season. Whereas I think if you had showed a little bit of faith the year before, you could have probably got him for $250,000, and that's the issue there. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, thought there was a knock on the door. And I think it was very clever out of Manchester United to actually go and get Kobbie Mainoo tied down to a new deal last February, because he was on the brink of breaking into that Manchester United squad regardless. And I think Erik ten Hag was very smart. If you remember the celebrations after the Carabao Cup final when we beat Newcastle last season, Erik ten Hag spent a couple of minutes with his arm around Kobbie Mainoo on the pitch at Wembley. Kobbie Mainoo wasn't even in the squad, I don't think, or maybe he was on the bench. But United were under no illusions that this guy was going to break into the first team. So they were very smart in terms of tying him down to a contract on reduced terms. Now, that's not to say that Manchester United are not going to offer him a better deal now, because he certainly does deserve it, given the performances he's been putting in, and his breakthrough has been absolutely fantastic. However, there is no pressure to do that now because he's tied down for another 4 years. So I'm under no illusions that he's going to get a new, improved deal at Manchester United. Absolutely, he will. But it's great that we've got him tied down. We don't have to worry and be concerned about one of our top players. I don't think he would look to leave anyway. He looks like the type of guy that wants to play for Manchester United above anything else. He's from the area. You know, he broke through, you know, the youth academy. So I think Kobbie Mainoo is a long-term Manchester United player, 110%. Speaking of midfielders, guys, before we finish up, I want to talk a little bit about a midfielder that's currently on loan, and it's Donny van de Beek. And it looks like Manchester United are desperate to sell Van de Beek this summer. We know the hard time Donny van de Beek has had at Manchester United since he signed from Ajax, and he's been out on loan a couple of times and it hasn't worked. I don't know what's going on with Donny van de Beek. I really don't. I do feel for him a little bit, but in another way, it's up to the player to put his mark down on a team and try and get into the first team squad. Whatever about Manchester United, he went on loan to Everton, done absolutely nothing. He's now at Eintracht Frankfurt and he's doing absolutely nothing. So Eintracht Frankfurt have the option to buy Donny van de Beek for 10 million euro in the summer. Now, we bought Donny for 39 million when he signed from Ajax a few years ago. So we're going to take a massive hit. Now, when it comes to the 10 million euro option to buy that Eintracht Frankfurt have, it looks like they don't even want to take up that option. They don't even want to take up the option to buy him for 10 million. That'll tell you how poor his loan spell is going over there. Now, there has been reports over the last few weeks suggesting that Ajax are going to come back in for Donny van de Beek and take him back to where he came from before he signed for Manchester United. However, they're even saying that 10 million is too much to go out and buy him. And they're talking more around the ballpark figure of 7 million euro to sign Donny van de Beek back from Manchester United. So, there's a couple of things to pick through here. First and foremost, it just goes to show the fall from grace that Donny van de Beek has had since he signed for Manchester United. And I blame Manchester United a little bit. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually wanted him at the time. But I think the majority of the blame has to fall to Donny van de Beek. You know, even when he has got a run of games, he's never looked like he's going to establish himself in the team. He's gone to Everton and done absolutely nothing, and he's now doing nothing at Eintracht Frankfurt. So I think we've got to look at the player a lot more. And the second thing then is, it just goes to show how desperate United are looking, or how desperate United are to get Donny van de Beek off the wage bill, because, you know, if United are going to be willing to take 7 million for Donny van de Beek, who's like 25 years of age, when they paid 39 million for him, it doesn't bode well. And and look, it needs to be done. These types of players need to be gotten rid of. The Donny van de Beeks, Harry Maguires, Scott McTominay, these are all my opinion. Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood, Brandon Williams, Alvaro Fernandez, whoever else it may be. If Varane is not going to sign a deal on lower wages, and, you know, move him on. These types of players need to be, Christian Eriksen, for example. We need to move these players on and get players in that are good enough to play for Manchester United. Simple as that. But guys, we're going to leave it there. I do appreciate everybody for watching. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so on your way out. Hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. And I'll be back again tonight from 8 o'clock for our news show. As always, I've missed it the past couple of days because my back has been absolutely killing me. But I'm on the mend now and it's feeling a lot better today, so I can actually sit for 45 minutes in this chair and do a live news show. But yeah, hope to see you all tonight, guys. Smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you're new, like I said. Chat to you tonight at 8 o'clock. Until then, have a good day, and I'll see you.